Welcome to another edition of the WiEA podcast. As you know, every week we share another story of one of our amazing community and their career to date. Of course, none of this would be possible without our partners at Digital Sparks. And if you haven't heard of them, do check out their website and their content and the amazing job they're doing for some of their clients. So let's get into it. Today we are joined by a true global thinker and change maker. Alisa Zotimova is the founder and chief exec of AZ Real Estate, a business she launched after walking away from the safety of a corporate life with no outside funding, just drive and self-belief in a better way of doing things her way. Her story spans from Moscow restaurants and mega deals to building a client-first agency model in London, where she's redefining what flexibility and leadership can look like, and especially for women. She became a mother in her late 30s and balances high-end service with strong boundaries and remains a passionate advocate for equity and agility in real estate. We're delighted to share her story today. So, Alisa, welcome to the WiEA Pod. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, Claire. Thanks for having me. Pretty exciting.
And I mentioned in the intro that obviously you're obviously Russian, but you had a corporate career both in Russia and then you came to the UK. Did you start your business in the UK from at that point, or did you come with the corporate?
I came with a corporate, so I'm grateful still to Cushman & Wakefield, who allowed me to transfer from Moscow office to London office, and I worked here in the UK, in the city, and then in the West End for 5 more years. So yeah, quite a bit of time, and in commercial leasing and investment, cross-border investment. And then yeah, it was 2012 when I decided to start my own business. Yeah.
So let's sort of unpick all of that a bit. So you launched your career in Moscow.
Yeah.
Obviously you were educated. You had a degree in economics.
Economics. Yeah.
So of course you're working in a restaurant.
Yes, well, because it's nice to have some cash while you're studying, right?
Yeah. So as I understand it, you were approached at that point.
Yeah,
Somebody said they recognised
my spark.
No, some some of your attributes that they thought would translate very well into the world of real estate.
Yeah. So that was maybe 2001, 2002, so a while ago by now, and it was just the dawn of kind of property, commercial and private property, really, if you think about it, market in Russia and in Moscow and its capital. And there weren't really many people who had any kind of property education. So what you really needed to have was kind of good English, which I had because I studied in the States for a year. I was an exchange student, and a client sort of minded mentality.
And before this interview, we had a conversation. We were talking about those the soft skills that people have that I think if people have got them naturally, then it's easier. So you can learn how to sort of value and sell real estate, but the people skills, perhaps it's more a natural a trait, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're all predisposed to something, and I think I was naturally always quite open, sort of, and curious about people and happy to talk to people. But I think you can also build them, hopefully.
But when it comes to property, I think the starting point is people and relationships with those people. It's that know, like, and trust.
I agree.
So you've obviously got people skills, and you've developed that alongside your property career. So you were in Moscow. It was commercial property you were
so offices.
Selling?
I was letting or leasing huge office buildings that were just being built. The first sort of skyscraper, and it was quite nice now to, I haven't been back for a while, but to go back and see, that was really? An excavation, that was a site, and now look at it.
So an exciting time to be part of something
very exciting.
that was new in Russia at the time.
Absolutely.
So you were headhunted to come to the UK then?
No, I would say I generated this opportunity, as I have done a few for myself. And no, I was doing really well in the Moscow office. If anything, they didn't want to let me go probably, but
Right.
I have come to London a few times as a tourist, as just for visits, and I actually came a few times to see the market, to the property market and this beautiful, much more mature market, amazing buildings that you guys have had here, and I loved it, and I was thinking, what would it be like to live here? And so I sort of engineered a transfer opportunity. I was like, let me go for a year. They said, oh, we'll let you go for 6 months. And here I am 18 years later.
Yeah, but you're not with them 18 years later.
No.
So how long did you stay with them?
5 years.
Right.
It also coincided with them supporting my visa, which, was a good thing to do. But once that was done and I could become, I could get this thing called ILR, indefinite leave to remain.
Right.
That was, I was much more free to do what I want. And I took the leap.
Yeah. So what made you think, right, now is the time to go out on my own?
Yeah. Well, I think it would be great, I don't know, to say, oh, it was my vision or, it was something grandiose. But I think a combination of factors. Well, I have been probably pretty fed up by then for 10 years. Corporate work, I've tried different roles within those. I worked for JLL and Cushman & Wakefield. So 10 years in the corporate world, I gained lots of experience.
Had you transitioned to residential at this stage?
No.
You're still commercial?
Yeah, I was still, commercial. Okay. But I've done various, I've done investment, I've done office leasing, I've done corporate occupier work for companies like, I don't know, Colgate, GE. I've done, and my last role was actually probably what inspired me, because in Cushman, there was this kind of unique role where I worked with independent agents in countries where Cushman's didn't have its own office. So like in Kazakhstan or South Africa, it wasn't big enough for them to set up directly. So I was covering what was called, the Alliance program, actually. And and I met all these very entrepreneurial people who were doing really well in their market. So I think that inspired me as well.
And you thought, okay, could that work in the UK?
Yeah. Or just what would it be like to work for myself and, implement my own ideas if I have a good idea, cut some of the red tape. So, again.
And the thing is, when you're running your own business, you can actually pivot very quickly. So you can try things, and if it doesn't work, okay, that didn't work. Let's move on to the next one. Whereas in a corporate, they've got to roll it out and test it, and and it takes much longer. They're not as nimble as a small business.
It's true.
So what I should say is that you are working in that prime central London market. Yeah. And that is a niche market, and it's fiercely competitive.
I think
you know all of this, but I just want to know that the listeners understand the market.
It's
it really is niche. Did you ever think about, when you launch your business, going to a different market, or was it always going to be?
No, I think, it's also fair to say that when I first launched it, it was based on what I already knew. So I was thinking of the skills I knew that I knew investment, and that I knew international kind of occupier and international investor mindset, and I knew London, and I knew property. So actually my first projects were not residential either. And I thought, well, I worked with these big investors, investment funds, pension funds, who have tens of millions of pounds, but what if there's somebody with 2 or 3? And I felt like there was a gap, there wasn't enough people to support them, still a lot of money, and help them, and that's how I started. And then I added on residential, and then so I've been around for 13 years as AZ Real Estate, and like you said, we've tried a lot of stuff, and some of it is no longer, doesn't make sense. And residential, focusing on prime central London, has been my focus probably for the past 4 or 5 years solely.
And so that was 2012, which was. That was such an exciting year. Wasn't it?
It was a great, the Olympics, and it was. Me too.
Loved it. The buzz in London, because I have to say, being British, and we were sceptical, and that the stadium when we built
we should leave. I have to get
where
out.
I live, I used to drive past the Olympic site every day, and I was just saying, it's never going to be finished. It's never going to be finished. That stadium, and of course it was. But the atmosphere in London was just so exciting, and so I can imagine, to launch a business amidst all of that.
Yeah, it was. I didn't time it that way on purpose, but no, I think it was. It was just a great year all around. And it was. It felt. I can leave my security, sort of salary, private medical insurance. I could. what's the worst thing that can happen, which is what I think people should just tell themselves to calm themselves down.
Absolutely. The worst that can happen, it doesn't work,
Yeah,
and you go back.
I'll find, I'm employable, I have great skills, track record. So again, if anyone out there is thinking it, I always say, just do it.
Your skill set hasn't changed. Well, it might have improved because
Yes.
if you learn from
No, I definitely know more now.
Yeah. So if it doesn't work, then you can go back into an employed role, and I'm sure there would be many people sort of knock on your door.
Yeah, I mean, 13 years later, probably.
You're not going back. No, I'm not suggesting that.
Well, and I wonder how employable I am right now. Yes.
No, don't put yourself down. But making that step into business ownership, essentially, I think it's easier now for people to do.
Yeah.
I know that some of the work that you're doing is definitely sort of helping others do the same. What are your biggest challenges in business at the moment? Because obviously I know that Prime Central is probably one of the toughest markets anytime, but I think specifically now it's really quite hard.
Yeah, I think actually the market position doesn't sort of frighten or challenge me too much. I think because it's cyclical. I mean, it feels like we've now weathered so many storms already. It was, when has there been an easy year, since I've launched my business? It was, Brexit referendum, waiting for Brexit, COVID, then, the war with Ukraine. I mean, and now globally, there's just something happening all the time. So, but I'm grateful. London's here. We love it. It's thankfully a beautiful place with great education, rule of law, and all these reasons why people love London and the UK, the wider UK. So I would say my challenges are more around my business, and I would say, again, it's good problems to have. So how do I scale it? How do I grow it and really make, it's so good, but it's still small. We're 7 people. So how do I, use that super strong foundation, which I think I've created, and tweaking it and honing it over the years? And how do I make money or more money from it, without hiring people on, pay national insurance and, having this, because if I take on a cost or if I hire someone, that's my responsibility. I know. And I won't let the people down, but that,
And that, I think that stops a lot of businesses from growing, probably outside agency as well, is because they think, well, if I take on another member of staff, and I need to take on another member of staff in order to grow, but if I do that, then I've got that commitment. And they talk about NI and health insurance and all of those things. And what if they don't perform the way that I want them to perform or need them to perform? Then you've got HR issues, and it's and it's kind of 2 forward, 1 back, and I think there are other ways that I know you've actually put into action to grow your business. Will it always be that Prime Central market that your business will look at, or would you look at other markets as well?
Well, I think I think it shouldn't be restricted to just Central London. If anything, over the years I've raised equity for developers in Cambridge. Right. We bought a student block for a client in Birmingham. So I think there are great markets out there. One needs to be realistic as to how you're going to service it all. You can't know everything equally well. There's no point of pretending to. No. But I think my idea is kind of UK wide. But we're based in Marylebone, and for my core team, what we do is we look at being able to get to our instruction within kind of 40 minutes, by public transport. So it's not. We're actually, I think how I've been a bit of a challenger is not being attached to this little patch of streets and just this, the streets, kind of high street. Estate agent. We sell things. We've taken on instruction in Windsor,
Right.
and
why not?
Yeah, exactly, because it's a great little, very unique thing, and it's been on with the local agent and the owner.
I know that you're very keen to support other agents who are wanting to sort of build a reputation and a business. But you became a mum for the first time quite late in life.
Yes.
Age, are you good? Do you want to share it?
Oh, I don't mind. So I just got in 39 and a half, so just under 40. And
so you scraped in there.
Yes. I mean, not that, because I'd be happy whenever if it happened.
And did you find, once you became a mum and you were, obviously you were working, you've got your own business to run, did you find that it was more difficult? People treated you differently, I guess?
I think, yeah, good question. I think I was so established or well established by then as a professional, as a business owner. Yeah, I didn't really find any kind of resistance. I do remember not, sort of spreading the news to my clients too much back then, just not to give them, again, it would be completely unbased, but I knew that there could be, well, she went to get pregnant, that's it, let's put our business somewhere else. She's just going to have babies and play with them, and that's it.
But that is not a challenge a man would have.
No, I guess.
I mean,
no.
I know,
Oh, yes, no, let's not give John any work because he's going to be like up all night and babysitting and leaving early now.
So it would just never happen, would it?
No,
So
no.
It's interesting.
But thankfully, it didn't happen again in my case, and I had a team and there was continuity, and hey, I was happy to be back before too long. I mean, as I had the flexibility of dipping in and out, so that's the plus side.
I've seen women in self-employed roles doing just that, and even taking the baby on viewings. I'm not suggesting that your clientele perhaps well, but I think we can make it work now, and I know you're very keen to encourage women into that kind of setup so they can have that flexibility.
I think I am. It's for both kind of sales negotiator roles, but also for kind of, well, I don't want to say back office, but for operational roles. And I think it's a two-way street, and women out there should be open and thinking and really taking steps to go back to work. Well, sometimes you really need to, but again, and as business owners or larger businesses should be offering these opportunities. I like to say I practice what I preach. So in our team, I mean, I have 3 people working remotely, all women. I mean, we have one man for all of us now, but we counted, we have like 13 children between all of us or something. But 3 women work remotely. One actually doesn't have children, she just works remotely. But my operations head, she works 5 days a week, comes in 1 day and works until 2:30, I think. So again, she can then go, and I've offered that flexibility, and we have our AML kind of admin manager, Mariana, comes in once a month maybe, and she works also like 2-3 days. So I've offered flexibility, and through that I got great people with commitment. So if businesses can do that, I encourage everyone to do that.
The loyalty, doing that, the loyalty you will establish with employees, and I don't really understand why employers don't see this, that they're not going to go anywhere, because they get looked after very well. It works around their family, and it's got to be something that's pretty major for them to make a move. So, and I know that there are, obviously during COVID, everybody was working from home. And I have spoken to employers where they say, no, we need everybody back in the office because people, they're abusing the system. If they're getting the job done, does it matter that they've not put 8 hours work in? If the job is being done.
I think there's ways to kind of set targets, meet targets. And I think what's not quite possible is having a kind of a sales negotiator work from home more than maybe 1 day a week. And I think, and again, I'm open about the challenges I've had with that. So as spillover from kind of COVID times, we've had 2 optional work from home days, and then that just became, that was getting a bit kind of abused, not abused, but
even if people are going into the office, having some level of flexibility. So, I don't know, start later.
We start at 9:30. Well, come work for me.
So, and how do you manage it? In your family with childcare.
No, I have a pretty happy setup. I don't want to irritate people with it, but it's we get up in the morning. Alternate drop-offs, school is nearby, my husband's very involved, and then I do start checking in earlier, but then I then kind of go to the office a bit later.
I just think that's such a common thing. We get up in the morning, we look at our phone, we check our emails, don't we? So you've actually started work.
So but I think technology, again, we touched upon it a little bit. Technology for me is a big helper. I think humans should have willpower to control it, and tips and tricks around there, tell you how to do it. I like to think it helps me rather than it controls me, and but of course it slips sometimes, as we all know.
So we'll come back to technology. So you've got a 6-year-old?
Yeah, a 6-year-old.
What do you think their life is going to look like, their working life is going to look like compared to yours?
Yeah, well, it's a mystery.
Crystal
Of
ball
course, he's
time.
going to inherit my business and make it amazing. And, you know, AZ Real Estate are my initials as well as A to Z. And, you know, when I was thinking about the name, my son's called Leo, but I was like, should I call him with an A initial so he could easily inherit it? No, so, yeah, no. So thankfully, not thankfully, but no, we picked Leo. So point is, yeah, it's really changing, but I think, yeah, again, kind of, I'm trying to raise him a kind person, and I tell him kindness is primary to being cute or smart, or you know, and I think you know, that's quite sort of maybe a little cheesy, but I think it's important in the career and professional world. I think it would be this, people skills. I think
they're underestimated.
Yeah,
really
well, I think they will. Maybe some people do, maybe some people don't, but they would come to the the forefront more and more, and really, being able to, you know, work with people and understand humanity, and because we will probably outsource a lot of stuff.
You used the word that I have always thought for my children, being kind. I think, you know, just being a decent human being counts for an awful lot. Yeah. Going off topic somewhat again, but do you fear for him because of social media and what he's going to be exposed to?
Well, yes, of course, kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's a only one way answer, but I also feel like we're doing a lot, like, you know, thankfully in our school, in the community. I think it's the generation, so yeah, the people right before him, I think the kids have fallen in more. I think now as parents and as, you know, I don't know, even countries, I think we're going to do better for kind of his age. So yeah, as far as we plan, he's not going to get a smartphone until, I don't know, 16 or 18. Yeah.
16. Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Good luck with that one.
I know. But I think if the critical mass is out there, and other people, other kids won't have
because, you know, once they're, I don't know, most of them will have a smartphone, certainly when they're at secondary school.
Yeah. I mean, some phones with some capabilities now, they're coming in more, you know, just.
Yeah, but being able to control what they're seeing. And I would, you know, I still think that the platforms, you know, X and Facebook and Instagram, I'm sure they can stop some of the content that goes out that young people are seeing. But yeah, good luck with waiting until he's 16.
Yeah, but I also think, we can't just hope for them to stop it. We really need to take an active role. And I think, again, it's, boundaries, right? Like with everything. And we did have this because he does have, you know, an iPad that he uses, and we parcel it in 15-minute time limit chunks, and he gets 3 per day, you know, unless blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But Roblox, as I'm sure you've heard of, was on there, and we kind of, he tried it a little bit a few years ago, and the IT teacher sort of great guy in our school, he said, well, how basically bad and vicious it is. And we then took it off, and we explained to Leo, like, no, Roblox is no more, because we spoke to the school and we spoke to the iPad, and it's not a good thing, and you're not playing it anymore. And he kind of, you know, accepted that. Right. And other kids do it, and we're like, yeah, but he says, no, I don't have Roblox because it's evil.
Wait till peer pressure, another couple of years, and peer pressure will come in, and they'll do it.
I'm
it's a challenge.
One step at a time, you know.
Yeah, I know. So I know you're an active member of the WiEA Facebook group, but what does the community mean to you? What benefits do you get from it?
Well, yeah, I think just knowing you're not alone, I think that's just such a big part of it, and having somewhere, knowing that, again, as you work for yourself, when you work for yourself, it could be lonely, it could be quite a lot. You've taken that step, you bit possibly more than you can chew, and then you don't want to choke on it, and you want to be able to come and just you know, vent sometimes, or just get encouraged, get inspired, give somebody else, you know, that inspiration or kind of a pat on the back when they need it. Just,
I mean, from the, you know, very early days, 5 years ago, when it was literally a couple of hundred women in a group, you know, obviously it's evolved, and the Not a Conference, you know, the event in March. I hope you're coming to that.
Yes. Well, I think to me, and the group is amazing, but I've actually I don't do Facebook very much,
No.
so I actually don't, I dip in and I read
Yeah.
through stuff and then I come out and I may
Yeah.
not check in. But the conference, that for me, yeah, I've been to the past two and yeah, I'm coming again. But that I think has just been so great.
It's, people ask me, well, what's the day about? What will I get from the day? And I think, well, if you've been to industry conferences before, and I said, well, it's not like that.
Yeah, basically.
So it is very different, and I think the engagement that you get and the inspiration and that community, and we will laugh and cry and do all of those things again, I'm sure. But and obviously we're doing the leadership training as well. So on all of these things are kind of what the community have asked for, and we can only see it sort of going. It's, in some ways, it's a shame that we need it because it means that there is some imbalance in the industry.
No, no, I see what you mean. Yeah,
but I mean, have you found in your career in the UK much resistance being a female business owner as opposed to a male business owner?
I think as a business owner, no, but of course I did work here in the office environment for 5 years, and I was always I was too loud, too bullshit, to everything. I'm sure I irritated a lot of people. People being my male,
Was that very male dominated?
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah, I mean, again, there were great women. There still are, and probably now there are more and more. But again, a lot of the female roles in the teams that I worked for were administrative, so PA with a view to marry somebody. Again, I don't want to generalize, but there were a lot of those career pathways. But some women grew and became partners and amazing. But it was still, I mean, I think now it's happening more, and
I'd like to think things have changed.
They are changing. You see,
they are changing, but they've not changed. And I think that there are still women that are facing those challenges. If a corporate career is what they want, then they are finding obstacles that their male counterparts perhaps don't. Which is why women in a state agency exists, I guess, or part of the reason. Well, it's been lovely chatting with you today, but there's one last question. We always ask every guest who they'd like to see in the hot seat. Who would you like to see interviewed on the pod?
Well, I thought about it, and I don't know if you know a guy called Simon Gates.
I do know Simon, yes.
He hasn't been here yet, no?
No.
So I would say, because I was also invited kindly to his podcast, and I think he's just such a bright, sort of switched on individual.
He's great. And when it comes to social media and AI, he's obviously
and also I think he's he was an agent, and we found some books we both like. So maybe.
Oh no, he's great. He's really switched on, really engaging, and I'm sure he'd be a great guest. So we'll get him invited.
Yeah, get him over.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Claire. Thanks.
Thank you.